Hello everybody, welcome. Today I'm headed to downtown LA for an appointment that is about doing my oath for naturalization, basically becoming a US citizen after living in downtown LA for 16 years. Being an immigrant in this country, it took a while. I was lucky to have a great family, to always have support, but it was always challenging not being able to have, like, I don't know, California driver license, working social security, and all of that stuff. It definitely took a while. It was definitely a long process, but I'm thankful for today that finally came the day that I don't have to worry about immigration anymore. I came here when I was 12 years old. I was born and raised in Sicily, in Italy, and I lived in a town or village or port town actually, because I was very close to the port and beautiful beaches. But other than that, the town that I lived in, we didn't really have much. I mean, there was only an elementary school. If you had to go to high school, you actually had to drive or take a bus for an hour to the next big city. And so there wasn't any jobs, or it wasn't as developed. So my parents knew that either or at some point we were gonna either move to the northern Italy. I always wanted to become a filmmaker, and my brother always wanted to be in the medical field. So we were either gonna move to northern Italy or somewhere else. And because my mother's sister lived here for quite a while, for more than her whole life, because she moved here like very young, my mom decided that we should all try out living in LA for a year or so and see how it goes, and maybe see if the future for my brother and I is a little bit brighter. And so at the age of 12 in 2008, we all moved to San Pedro, California, and where I attended middle school. I also did high school there, and we ended up staying. After 1 year, we were like, this is amazing. The world, obviously, here in LA, it's so much bigger than a little town in Sicily. And Sicily is beautiful, don't get me wrong. It's the best beaches you can find. The only thing is that, you know, like I said, I wanted to be a filmmaker. There isn't much work in Sicily, actually almost to none, as far as I know. I've never seen any movie sets. That's how low population my town was, and everybody knew each other. Because when you live in like a small town, where everybody knows each other, everybody, like, you know, knows what each other are doing. He's a farmer, he's a fisherman, you know, it becomes like your own bubble. So then when you go and explore the world, you explore bigger city, you actually notice that, like, there's so many people in this world, there's so many things going on all at once. And in LA, you know, in the beginning, when I first moved here, all I thought was like, oh, there's only movies and TV shows. No, there's a market for everything. Media, techs, any startup company probably has a video team, because it all comes down to marketing, how many eyes they want to get, how much attention they want to draw to their new product or new story that they're trying to pitch. Sometimes it's a short film, sometimes could be a music video. So there's so much content going on here because there's so many people, and thus there's so much opportunity that I really love and enjoy being here, because I love, like, seeing everybody work, seeing everybody, like, try to achieve this American dream, and I feel like now I'm officially part of it. after living here for 16 plus years. And yeah, it's amazing that there's so much going on. I mean, like, look at this traffic. Like, I've never seen traffic like this in Sicily. There's only a 2-lane highway. Many of the other streets are not even paved, and they're like one road. But yeah, speaking of, like, what I do, I got lucky. Since I moved here, right after high school, I went to community college where I studied like liberal arts and communication. That was the only like major that I could able to get some film classes and maybe get my hands on in a cinematography class, 1 or 2, or a photography class. It wasn't that high level, it was very basic, but it introduced me into like a professor. Then a professor linked me up with a producer who was looking for PAs to work for Freebie, and I was able to get my first gig when I was like 17 as a PA swing, that I was helping out the gaffer, the production designer. So I was just already at 17 learning on set, all of these different roles, and I really loved it. I really enjoyed it. I knew that my focus was gonna be in camera because I love visuals, but I also always had a somewhat of a fetish with equipment, with tech. I'm more of a techie guy, so I love like cameras, I love lenses, I love seeing new products, I love going on events like NAB where they announce like new products and you get to try them out, and they're so cool. And so it's kind of like people who are like obsessed with new phones, with new iPhones. Every time there's like a slightly different thing and you just want to get it. That's how I feel every time I see a camera. Ooh, like I wonder if like they will do this on the next generation, or up the frame rate or something like that, or like give a higher dynamic range sensor. So, but nevertheless, that didn't stop me of trying like all kinds of roles. I tried acting. I've done every single role pretty much on film set. I also did some script writing classes where I learned how to write a feature-length script. It was garbage, but it got my feet wet on like how to actually do it. And I did directing, I did everything, but it all came down that after I basically volunteer on of these like multiple sets, because then from one producer, another producer would hit me up and say, hey, like, do you want to come and PA for my set and maybe camera assist here and there? And I'm like, yeah, for sure. So I did that for about 4 years. I worked as a freebie on all kinds of sets. I don't care how big or small they were, and I was working for very little or to none. And then it came to the point where I went to college, and I was still freelancing on the side. And then I ended up doing an internship with a media company that was basically like a big YouTube channel. And that's where I started like establishing my experience of like equipment associate or equipment agent. So basically being on the equipment cage and basically fulfilling orders for all of these other productions, whether it's branded, marketing, all kinds of productions that are within the same company, within the same channel, but are doing different projects. So like a production would ask for 2 cameras, another production would ask like for some lights, cameras, and camera support and stuff like that. And that's where I started like really getting my hands on equipment every single day. And from there I went to another media company, same deal. It was slightly bigger. It was a YouTube channel, but it was established as a magazine that kind of blew up, and they started doing more content here and there, and then they started doing branded sponsor videos, and I became basically their equipment manager slash studio manager for that company. And it was great. I got to be part of all kinds of projects besides being able to fulfill their needs, whether it came from equipment or studio spaces. I was able to be part of many of their other projects that were basically projects that will go to Hulu, Quibi, feature-length documentaries, and always, even though I was a full-time employee for these media companies and now for another one, I was always like freelancing on their side, whether it was photography, like wedding photography or portrait photography for people, or music videos. I love doing music videos, and other stuff like that. And on top of that, whenever I had a free time, I would do like my own YouTube videos, because I always love like being in front of camera and giving my thoughts and ideas to other people. And I do that in a daily basis also in my job too. Like when people come at me, for example, like, hey, we have this kind of shoot, what would you recommend? Should we get this camera A or camera B? Like, which one do you prefer? Also for lighting wise, like we're trying to get this shot like super soft, what would you recommend? And I love sharing my ideas and outputs. I love seeing projects like become better, not just based on my ideas, but to talk them out and basically work as a team, enlightening basically the look by being in a team. And that's what it's all about. Like, I think filmmaking is such a teamwork based environment that's the number one thing that I love being around with. Which reminds me, when I was in Sicily, even though it wasn't filmmaking, I loved playing soccer in the streets with my childhood friends, who I still keep in touch until this day. And even if we were playing with a plastic bottle, it doesn't matter. We were all in a team and we were trying to achieve a goal. And that's the same thing I think in filmmaking. It's funny because sometimes you have an idea and you work as a team, and then your resources might not be that high, your budget might not be that high, which is basically like the plastic bottle example. And so you might not have a soccer ball, but hey, you got a plastic bottle that you can still kick around and kind of score a goal with it. So you're still gonna get the kick out of it. Same thing when it comes with filmmaking. You don't have like that crazy high camera, but you have a DSLR and you have this great idea and you just want to get it out there already, and you do it. And that is what I love about filmmaking, because then when a person sees that you're that passionate, and the idea works, everything works, and then you guys go and try to make another one, next thing you know is another person wants to be involved, and that person might have some money that they want to invest you in. So now you're going to be able to get that higher camera. So it's all like a ladder. That's why, to me, all those years that I basically worked as a freelancer for free, I knew that at one point it was going to come to a stop that, okay, now I gotta start getting paid. Now it's the time for me to actually get some money because I have a solid experience. So that's what I also recommend a lot of people, is that even though you're in school, always try to freelance on the side. Even if you're doing a part-time job, do it after that part-time job. Always try to accumulate your experience, or try to get your feet wet anywhere, because that's actually what's going to connect you with people, especially in the filmmaking world. That's what you want to do. It's nothing about what's on paper. It's more about like the type of person you are and the type of work you have done under your belt, and are you willing to. A lot of times, a lot of people that I've met in school, they hated the fact of like waking up early in the morning for a 6 a.m. call time and then shoot for 12 hours. I didn't mind it because to me that was like fun. But I know people that they hate that. They'd rather have a 9 to 5 job. And there's nothing against that. But if you do really enjoy the process and you really do want to be on set making stuff, that's something that you have to like. That's something that you have to like open your eyes and tell yourself like, Do I see myself doing that? Can I basically be able to manage doing such a thing like every morning, or have such an ordinary schedule? And so, yeah, a lot of people, you know, that's really not what they're all about. So then maybe they might be working for accounting for a media company, so they might have like somewhat of a correlation. So maybe you're not want to be in production, you want to be on the pre-production side of the world. So it's up to you, but always have the experience, so you try it and you know that like, okay, that's not for me. Same thing for example, I tried production designer. I love doing it, but I know that in the long run it's really not for me. I see other people that are so much more passionate. They have such a better taste than I have, and I've done it and I think it's fun. I think it's very creative too, but I know that I'm better as a person with cameras. I am better as a filmmaker with tech. I'm better in the camera world. I could totally see that me being in that, I'll never let anyone down. No one, I would not even need support. I could just handle it on my own. Anyway, this is like my 2 cents. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I'm gonna try to blog as much as I can. I just made it to downtown LA and I'm about to park my car and become a citizen finally. So wish me luck. I hope you guys the best. Again, I would love to start a conversation with you guys and basically tell me of where you come from. How was your filmmaking experience from A to Z? Are you still a filmmaker? Did you try to be a filmmaker? Are you an immigrant? How did being an immigrant impacted you, like it has impacted me on becoming a filmmaker? So please feel free to hit the like button, like everybody says, for the YouTube algorithm, whatever. And please subscribe to my channel, because I want to make this every day. So let's see how it works, okay? You guys stay safe and be happy, okay? Be the Bye.